Oops. It's not going live on the. It sounds good. Oh, can you hear me, Just Robin? Can't hear me? Yes, good. Okay. I wonder why it's not showing here. Yeah, it's kind of. Okay, got it. Had to set up my mod. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes. How are you doing, Just Robin? There's Den. Hi. Hi there, Sharon. Just going to give some time for people to come in. Welcome, welcome. Should do like JLR. Come on in, come on in. He's so funny. XS, hello. Susan, good evening. Nicole, thank you. New York, New York. GM, welcome. Sharon, welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I love JLR, me too. Magnolia, they're awesome. Please don't LOL, just be me. Hello, Emmy, Stellar, Laura, welcome, AV. Also wonderful to show up. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Just give it one more minute. Hello, Linda. And there's Dennis behind everyone. Just, just like, he's cheating. He just walked through the wall. That's funny. Well, anyway, we'll start now. And as everybody comes in, hello, Tina. Welcome, welcome from Texas. AV, Stellar, Laura Holland, welcome. So I'm not sure if you guys had seen the new Fitz News article, and hello, Tina. The new Fitz News article, and also Millie's video, which was all one and the same. I think they did the article first, and then they did a video. And it was very, very interesting in what they talked about. Now, I didn't know until last minute, God's girl, welcome, that they actually were talking about some things I had mentioned on a few videos. If you notice, the last video that I put up was it was an originally aired one. You know, I originally aired, I think it was October 14th. Don't quote me on that. But that was the one where I was talking about intimate partner violence abuse. And I did not know Fitz News was watching. And I can share in the link if in the chat if you want the link to the article and to the video. Anyhow, and there was some things in Millie's Fitz News interview that I found very, very interesting. Maybe you'll find it interesting. Now, if any of you are protesters, you won't be surprised by this, but if you're not, you probably are. Now, just real quick to go over what was in there was talking about the PTSD that the audience goes through, because we have a lot of DV survivors, victim survivors in the audience, not just watching this show, but not just watching the protest, but all of the coverage of Mike Miller. And I touched on how they have psychological and clinical symptoms from that abuse, you know. And then they also touched on, which you might remember me discussing, was the organized harassment. Targeting victims, stalking, verbal abuse, psychological manipulation, cyber harassment, gaslighting, getting community involvement. Hello, Beach Bell. Something Millie had brought up that I think that you guys might find interesting. And I didn't know this till I watched the interview. There were attacks on the protesters that I was unaware of that I think we should bring up. And then there's a reason why. There's always a reason why I'm bringing all this stuff up. So there were false police reports called on them, inaccurate info given, like there would be misgendering. For example, if it was called on a girl, they would say it was, boy or whatever, that kind of inaccurate, like on purpose. But it's just to harass. It was part of the harassment. Doxing. Now, doxing, we know is name and addresses, but they also do phone numbers and all kinds of information. We've even had stuff happen to their cars. Yes, that's one of them. Nails in the tires. I did hear about that, but I did not realize it was like 7 nails. It's like insanity. False info being given out to slander and defame, which means that it's false information being given out socially, so social media, as well as newspapers. I had no idea that was happening. Portions of conversations. Now, see, I've had this done to me. Portion of conversation will be recorded. And I think Apple phones can do this. I don't know of Androids, but, I'm sure all devices can do it. But they will record a portion of either a live or a conversation on a phone or however you have it, and cut a portion of it out and alter it to make it sound like that person's saying something else, to give a false narrative. So that's also been done to these people. And to be honest, content creators as well. Let's not leave them out. Another one was somebody had lived, and I think this is a protester, lived in a retirement community, and somebody would just keep going up and running and ringing their doorbell or knocking on their door and taking off. I mean, just insanity. And this just blows my mind. Someone broke into one of the protesters' porches to steal their protest signs. I mean, that's it's coming from every direction. Yeah. So why do I bring this all up? Now, for all of you who are saved, you will understand what I'm about to say. It is stuff that teenagers do. This is a spiritual fight. This is a spiritual fight. I've known that from the beginning, but, who doesn't get emotionally involved? You start to make friendships, you start to care about people, and you realize that, these are other human beings, and you want to help them, and so you get emotionally attached or whatever. And you kind of forget what you're dealing with. When you see the chaos, think about from the very beginning of when the protesting started. These people haven't had a moment's peace. They've been attacked in every way possible that you can think of. And then we have infighting. Just infighting. Is that what happened to CJ? No, I don't know if CJ was one of those victims. I have no idea. I don't even know who the victims are for this list. But they're obviously people who are standing up for justice for Mica, which is pathetic. Millie, on the interview, was really making it sound like it was coming from Solid Rock. And this is exactly what Solid Rock wants. This is exactly what J.P. Miller wants, is for all of us to infight. For all of us to attack each other, and we're busy attacking each other, we're not going to be busy keeping our focus on the people that most likely are responsible for Mica's passing. However you want to put it, whether it be directly or indirectly, they failed her one way or another. Soiled mock indeed. So, yeah, well, that's the whole thing. They've weaponized the Just Robin. They have weaponized the police department against these people. So, false reports, I was always under the understanding that a false police report, you can get in trouble. But, they don't. Are there any more cases involved with Solid Rock? Well, with the couple that was from North Carolina, I don't know if you guys saw it. If you haven't, go check out Danielle's channel. Good evening, Rachel. That she did indeed get a unredacted version of the incident report. And on there, it was solid rock. There was just no denying. You did see it, Just Robin, good, because now what's the explanation? I don't know. The only connection we've been able to find so far of them ever being in Myrtle Beach was back in 2021. There's just, pictures on the wife's Facebook page. It's JP Diddy Chaos indeed. Of them being in Myrtle Beach. So I don't know. If you look at the incident report, they were at Solid Rock meeting whomever redacted at like 11 o'clock at night. It was late. It was, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, don't quote me on that. But it was just not a time where the church would be open. Let's put it that way. There wouldn't be a service. So anyway, my point of saying all this is, and if any content creators are listening to me right now, this is, I think it was what happened to Jay's restraining order thing. I think it was not delayed. What do you call it? Where it's another date, like another. It's not now. I think it's been scheduled for another time. I can't remember. I can't think of the word right now. I don't know why. Or I think it's been solved. I have no idea, or it's been concluded. I really don't know. Continued. Thank you. I don't know if that's what happened either. Continuance? Oh, it is a continuance. Okay, until November 5th. Okay. Okie dokie. Thank you, guys. Continuance. Thank you. Something happened with the judge. Yeah, I think there was an issue with the judge. That's right. Okay. Thank you, guys. A white van also seen at Solid Rock. Well, I think this man owned a white 1997, I think it was, F-250 Ford. So there's definitely a connection, and it's within 24 hours of these people being found dead. I think Danielle and the girls are looking into the actual property that they were found in. There's also some sort of connection. Either they owned it or something like that. And what's at the scene is really weird. Really, really weird. We haven't given up also on Jerry Savelle. Him passing away suspiciously as well 2 weeks before Mica. So we haven't given up on that. And there are some other ones. As a matter of fact, somebody's scheduling. One of the girls are trying to schedule with me to speak to Amber Berglia. Is that how you say her last name? Her mom. So I'm supposed to be speaking to her soon and get some information from her as well about her daughter and see if there is any connection to that. Who knows? I mean, it seems like there's always something under every rock we lift up. There's JP. Anyhow, I would like for everyone to work on getting along. Now, I don't know if Jay is even going to come back to the protests. I just think he's going to step back for a little while and relax and, focus on his family and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's what he's doing. I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know. I'm just hearing this from another source. I use that word. And so either way, though, it would be nice if we unify, put our differences to the side. If we have a problem with each other, now this is Christians, we know we're supposed to go by this, then it was conflict of interest, yeah. we go to that person in private and we discuss it and figure it out. And if we can't work it out, then we don't work it out. But we at least stay focused on justice for Mica. And then when that's said and done and the justice finally served, we go on our separate ways. But this is exactly what John Paul Miller wants. He wants us all attacking each other, cutting each other up. And who does he get help from to do that? You know, TCR. Unifying, exactly. It does help JP when there's division. I know, Horry County, whatever the hell their name is. Thank you. That's New York, New York. Something had to have gone wrong with that case with Amber because, and it's so obvious, just like Mica, 4:00 in the afternoon, and I have to give props to CJ on this because I didn't think about it until he actually showed it. 4:00 in the afternoon, there's a house across the way. Nobody saw anything, and the car was still there running. That means that the person who did this to her walked away or was picked up by another car. That means another person is involved. So, yeah, JP's eating this up. He's loving it when everybody's fighting and causing aggravation, and they're angry with each other, and they're taking their cameras and they're videoing each other and making shows about each other. And you know why? Because that takes the focus off of him. And that's exactly what he wants. That's what he's been aiming for all along. So every video that's put out to talk about another content creator, another protester, he's going like he's clapping. Yay, I got my way. And that just cannot happen anymore. So if you don't like somebody, just don't talk about them. Move on. And it's a distraction. And it needs to stop. And this is for everyone. This is for everybody. Love all of you, but I'm going to correct it where it needs to be corrected. It's enough. It has to stop. There is way too much to this case. Yeah, well, he is creep. Matthew, it's very simple. I mean, he acts like he's Matlock or something. And, you could just go to Been Verified or Truth Finder or whatever, and you see my name and created a class magazine, which happens to be, back on July 4th, he called me. And I mean, you don't really have to be a detective to find that information when somebody's out there. If I was hiding behind a username and I was hiding behind a logo and then he found me, then I'd say, okay, that's nuts. But yeah, I'm out there. So it's not like he had to have the IQ of Einstein to get it. But it's the intention behind it. And that's what really ticked me off. That's why I did that video. I don't think I did it on the 4th. I did it on the 5th, where I responded to him about the call. Because he asked me a question and he wouldn't let me answer. So I answered him in a video. So he got his answer. But he was calling to see, July 4th. And my husband recorded it. So if they work together to help get justice for Mike instead of fighting against each other, maybe there might be more results in this case. Well, okay, I'm going to give you an example. That is an excellent point, Thomas. If you remember, her name was Robinson, beautiful, beautiful black girl from North Carolina, and her and 5 other friends went to Mexico for vacation. She paid for the whole thing. No, he did not offer me money. And even if he did, I wouldn't have taken it. It's probably blood money. Robinson was her last name, and she paid for this beautiful trip to Mexico. And these friends turned on her and killed her. And then kind of left her there and came home. And there was a huge public outrage for justice for her. I mean, they united. Didn't matter if they liked each other. Didn't matter if they got along. if they had the same likes and dislikes, they didn't care. They were unified in getting this girl justice. And you know what? The FBI responded. Shaquela Robinson, beautiful, beautiful girl. And I think she was going to college, and she had her own design, fashion design. Shaquilla, that's right. That's right, Robinson. She paid for that trip. She paid for that place that they were staying. It was like a luxury resort, and brutally, murdered. That's okay. That's okay, Nicole. And if you just go back and look at how they unified for her, and you know what? It did not take years and decades to get the FBI to respond. They had no choice but to respond because the public insisted on it. This is what I wanted for Mica. That's why I started the online protest. You know what I get on the online protest? Why do you have Trump on there? Like, how many times do I have to say, copy and paste it, make it your own, put on who you want, take off who you want? Just take it and put it on social. My God, it takes like one finger. You press down on a device and you move it to another platform. It literally takes less than 5 minutes to do, but is effective. And, I get more flack about who's on the stupid friggin' protests than I do anybody. There are people who do it, but, and then have the nerve to go into the chat and go, he's never going to be found guilty. We're never going to get justice. Well, then help out. The online protest isn't for entertainment. So as entertaining as it might be, it's really meant to have that same public outrage that Shanquilla got. Mica deserves it. Mica deserves it. And there's a lot of us. Hey, Kristen, how are you, hon? How's your son, Kristen? Is he okay? He broke his finger, I think, her son. I hope he's okay. So I know you guys, you agree with me. And when you see the attacks that are coming from Solid Rock, and these are ridiculous attacks, nails in the tires, false police reports, purposely giving the wrong information on them, but just so the cop shows up at the door and knocks on it. Oh, very good, very good. Ringing doorbells and knocking on doorbells. I mean, this is like stupid. Do you think with the captain and the head of Myrtle Beach go to Solid Rock Church has something to do? Does the Myrtle Beach Police Department chief or captain, whatever, go to that church? Hi there, Debbie. Does the captain of Myrtle Beach, are you saying police department, Thomas? I think that that has a lot to do with why they're allowed to cut off sidewalks, why they're not allowed to put up signs. I mean, come on, it's a friggin' sign. And that was another thing that Millie said in the, is it Heather Wilson? Or is it her husband? I thought it was her husband. And I thought they weren't even going to Solid Rock anymore. I was under that impression. I might be wrong, though. But Millie was saying that, a protest, you think about it, there's like fires and stuff being thrown, and, they got those, what do you call blow those horn things, whatever you screaming in. I mean, there's like all kinds of stuff going on. I am tired. I am drained. Ashley, thank you for noticing. I am tired of this. This is what I'm tired of, I'm not tired of working on Mica's case. I'm not tired of finding justice. But when this crap is happening and you got this one making a video about this one and this one's making a video and you're like, oh my God, when is it going to stop? And you know what? Heather Wilson and, Waterboy and Fedora Hat Guy and, Destiny Dutton and the rest, and and middle finger, what's her name, his blonde girlfriend, whatever, Skinner and Trisha, they're all loving this. They're all loving this. This is exactly what they want, is for all of us to, um, thank you, Maria. TikTok is a garbage pail. It's just, I mean, let's be real for a second. And I don't want to be on there. I really, honest to God, don't. But there are people on there that every time I make the announcement I'm leaving, no, don't go. So I don't know what they're going to have to. I know, Robin. They're going to have no choice. It's going to end up being where they're going to have to come over. This is what I don't get. And tell me if I'm wrong. Apple or Android? Doesn't everybody get YouTube default? I mean, I'm not an Apple owner, so don't Apple people get it on their phone just like we do? I mean, I was under that impression. I don't know. I might be wrong. And even if you don't get a default, can't you just like click download? I don't know. Yes, thank you. Okay, so then what is the problem? Just come to YouTube. What's the big deal? It's actually easier. Let me tell you something. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I've been putting up trafficking stuff, right? And all from the news, all from the news. And YouTube, no problem. As long as it's, on mainstream media, they don't give you a hard time, right? I put it on TikTok and they take it down. I have to appeal every single one. And I write to them in the appeal, this is truth, what's the problem? And then they put it back on. I have to fight with them about all of them. So I'm up to here with TikTok. And I'm under the impression that TikTok is supposed to be going down in January anyways. So I don't know. Oh, TikTok Live's playing in the background. If I have to switch screens, YouTube automatically stops. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'd love to know. Do you know that they censored my own song? It's me singing. It's our music, and they told me that I was copywriting. So I wrote them and I said, "Who am I copywriting?" I was waiting for them to say Edelectasunas so I could laugh. And so you realize that's my voice on there, right? That's exhausting. It's like Dumb and Dumber having to deal with that constantly. And you know what? This is dumb too. This is pathetic that these people can do this. This is not just to the protesters, ladies and gentlemen. This is also the content creators. I have the police report and the 911 call to Robbie Harvey's fake phone call. So it was all real. What Robbie Harvey had said, what happened to him, was true. I have it. His voice. Okay? So, I had spoke to somebody that knows JP from a long time ago. And he said, don't for 1 minute let him fool you when he says, I don't know anything about social media because it's full of crap. He's a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. He's really and I can't stand having to compliment him, but he's really a brilliant guy. He just uses it for evil. And so, prime example, I put up that story yesterday about that trafficker who's been a trafficker for over a decade. I think it was in Philly. Okay, he's a guy, and he's been using voice modification so that all his victims that he was setting up thought he was a woman. Okay? If that guy can do it, and I don't know, maybe he's brilliant too. What makes you think that JP wouldn't do stuff like that? Getting a lawyer for the protesters. I've actually found lawyers for the protesters. I've called ACLU. I've reached out. No, Ashley, I'm not going to break. Are you kidding? I don't break for nothing. I just want everyone to get along. How do I do that? It's not like my kids, right? I say, okay, everybody go to your room, you're punished until you come out and do the right thing. Would I take their keys away? I don't know what to do to get everybody to get along. And if you don't like somebody, don't agree with them, then just leave it alone and move on. He is depraved. Remember when he knows what a hallucinogen is. He takes them from New York State. Look, Suzanne, take a look at my background, girl. New York, New York, what a hell of a town. Do we wish what? A lawyer? I would love a constitutional lawyer that's willing to, first of all, I think that they would be doing themselves a service by coming forward pro bono, because if they were to do that on a case like this, it's already got global attention. As we speak right now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a box of Mica ducks on its way, or maybe already there, at the Taj Mahal. There's also a box of ducks that have made it to the UK. We know that we've got people from Sweden and the Netherlands, and I think even Australia, that have reported on this case. So this, or was it South Africa? Maybe it was South Africa. So this case has gotten global attention. And on top of it, do you realize on Sunday, it's 6 months since the day she's passed away? 6 months we're still talking about Mica. 6 months we're in Canada. Thank you, Sally. That this is still going. She should have the live chat in the replay. Oh, yes. It's been fixed, by the way, everyone. Live chat will be in the replay. I know a couple people said, why don't you do that? It's in there, so you'll find it. I'd like to be a strong voice and advocate, but I do need help. I need a lawyer to help. Sally, the FBI, I want them to do a full and thorough job. And I got to tell you, I know you've heard me say this before, but it bears repeating. As we're investigating this, right? Every time we peel off one layer to this case, 12 disgusting layers come out of nowhere. And then you got to peel them back, and 24 more disgusting layers. What Mica went through, this list just gives you maybe a 16th of an idea of what this girl has had to put up with during those years. And I mean, disoriented. Turkey, Germany, and Israel also know about her. Ice Bible, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I don't want her case to go cold. I don't believe that it will. I don't think God will allow it. I also don't believe that Mica's legacy is just going to be Mica's law. I'm not putting down Mica's law. I think it's a great thing. But I believe that her death had opened up a Pandora's box of things that have been going on for decades. Because that's all I see. The only reason why I haven't reported on all of it was because I don't have the documented proof in front of me to where I can bring it to you. The only documented proof we had was that couple. And Danielle brought it, to the forefront. There's other things that are being worked on. I don't know if you guys know about the live that happened on Monday on TikTok, where I pretty much just threw myself on the fire. And I did that because I wanted the drama to stop. I just wanted it to stop. And the only way it was going to stop is if, I was like the sacrificial lamb, like, okay, take a piece. Let's go. Let's get it over with. And when you're done, can we move on? And you know what? We have. And with the people, some of the people that were on there that were angry with me today were friends. And they actually have turned out to be a massive help. And I got to tell you, I agree with a lot of what they're saying. This is a spiritual fight indeed. If you are an intercessor, If you're one who prays to God, you need to start talking to God about this case, because Christian people don't put nails in people's tires. Christians do not make false police reports. Christians do not go knocking and ringing on people's doors who live in a 55 and over retirement. I don't care if they send people to do it. Christians don't even send people to do stuff like that for them. Christians don't break into somebody's porches to steal their signs. Christians don't spray water in the face of other Christians just because they're annoyed. Christians don't give people the middle finger as they're coming out of church because they're annoyed at what? What have the protesters been doing? Did they set the place on fire? Because some people do that at protests. What have they done? How about the fedora guy who came and walked up and pushed one of the signs? It's not even just JP. It's his minions. It's his flying monkeys. They've all helped him in this. And let me tell you something. Remember when I brought up organized stalking? Remember what this is Salarot teaching? What is he teaching? It's gospel according to JP. That's what it's been. When I had said cyber harassment, anybody want to take a hint on who's been the queen of cyber harassment? Who's gone from pro Mica, pro JP, pro Mica, pro JP, back and forth, like she talks out of both sides of her mouth. And I pray to Jesus she's gone once and for all. And see, on YouTube, we don't have to tolerate her. We don't have to tolerate her on YouTube. You know what I mean? So he has employed these people, boiled rug. He's employed these people to do this, and we fell for it. Let's be real. A lot of us have fell for it. And we're making videos about I took all my videos down talking about other people. I took them all down. You know why? Because I ain't going to give John Paul Miller one bit of, yes, TCR, you're right, one bit of feeling good about me taking my eyes off of him and what he did to Mica and onto somebody else. You can forget it. It's right back on him. And I think all our eyes need to be back on him. The end. And I'm glad, I knew you guys would agree. I knew you would agree. Yeah, he's the kingpin. You're right on. That's right. I had somebody say to me, how could you add Charles Randall to the mess? And I says, I didn't add him to the mess. He added himself. In March, he was at a convention with this J.G. Randall from the Bethlehem AME Church. That's literally 3 minutes away from that gas station. I didn't tell them to go there. They went there on their own. And guess who else was there? Pastor Jumba. So what's the deal, people? And Randall's daughter was there. Oh, and by the way, that AME is a Methodist church. That pastor that died the week before Mica was a Methodist pastor. The couple that passed away in North Carolina, there's also a Methodist connection. What's with the Methodist church? What's going on over there? They think we're not going to find out. But remember, everything that we're finding out, the feds are 10 steps ahead. They already know. There is a common denominator. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. If God wants us to figure it out, we will figure it out. But we have got to be unified. We have got to be unified. As soon as we start getting annoyed with each other, or we don't like what somebody said or did, unless they're disparaging Mica's family, or another pro-Mica or justice for Mica person, then we need not to worry about how they speak, how they look, how they do this, how they do. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Thank you, Indiana Chick. Well, okay, we're all human. I get it. I get pulled into it. When I do those pre-recorded, you guys would laugh if you were here in the room and watched me. I'm so pissed off. I'm going to use the words. Why not? I'm so pissed off sometimes about a certain thing that I'll take like 15, 16 takes. And that's why by the time you see the one I put up, I'm chill. Because the first 14, I'm, you know, so I'm like, no, I can't put that up. I don't want people to see that. So I make sure I put out the reasonable, logical Anne, not the Anne that wants to rip them to shreds in the back alley. You know? So I'm being honest with you. And knowing that that's what happens with me, I can only imagine how CJ feels, Robbie Harvey feels, JLR feels, um, and the protesters feel. And you know what? Even Jay feels, um, and all the other people that have been involved from the beginning. We are all adults here. It's time to act like it. And it's really time for everybody to stop talking, now turn around and look at Solid Rock. Like all together. It is raw. I think people who didn't meet Mica, as we learned about her, there's not one person who's had something bad to say about her. We've seen her sing, we've seen her talk, and we've known about her struggle. And I think a lot of us love her now. We love what we know of her. I mean, me and Angelita have become so close. She's like family to me now. If she's family to me now, that means that her kids are like family to me now. So I kind of look at Mica like a niece. And so when somebody has something disparaging to say about Mica, I want to choke them. That's how I feel. I'm being honest. And that's me. I can only imagine how the people who really did know her, how, they grieve that she's gone. JP is cruel, but JP's going to, the very traps that JP has created, he's going to fall into himself. Thank you for reminding me of that. For every Christian that's here, and if you're a non-Christian, I would advise you to do this. Please go read the book of Jude. It's one chapter, for crying out loud. And we are literally in the book of Jude right now. And when you read that, you're going to know what's God's plan for JP Miller. I got that prophetic word, yes, not from me, it was from a prophet yesterday morning. And boy, that I was like celebrating, not at the demise of a person, but the justice. And it was not just towards the wolf, it was also towards the supporters of the wolf. So, yeah, pray for Angelita. Be very proud of her because she met with and I can pretty much say it, they're working on it. It's going to take some time, but they are working on it. They're doing a, documentary of Mica in UK. And so she met with a producer, and I was with her at the meeting, and she did really well. They just wanted to hear from her from the mother's perspective of her daughter, what she was like, what kind of person she was. It was really great. And so I think they're going to keep meeting. And I think the producers also reached out. Well, I helped her reach out to Mr. Francis. And I hope the girls join in, and Nate as well. I hope this documentary is one of those. She said it's like the kinds that show up on Netflix and Hulu and whatnot. They've got contracts with those streaming services. So who knows, one day, a year from now, we might see Mica's face on Netflix, which would be great. And it's supposed to be about coercive control. But I got to speak to the producer alone in the aftermath and said, I think that's awesome, but this case is a lot more than coercive control. And so she said, okay, let's talk next week. So I'm going to fill her in with what I can next week when I talk to her. So there's the wheels are turning. We just haven't seen it yet, but it's coming. The 911 report only listed the husband. What do you mean, Susan? Oh, you mean at the church? at Solid Rock. You're talking about the North Carolina. What was his name? Greg Gobble. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what it did say, that he and his truck were seen by 2 witnesses at Solid Rock the day before. I think it was the day before they were found dead. And that story, even Gobble, that's right. That's even a weird story. Just as weird as Amber Berberglia. I think that's how you say her name. They're at home. They're meeting for dinner. Something prompts them to leave. Does that sound familiar? Something prompts him to leave. And if he's going to kill his wife and then do this to himself, you're going to leave the house? Why? Just do it at the house. That doesn't make any sense. Something was very ritualistic about the scene. It was like, I think it was like one shoe or one of each shoe found. There was a recorder. I don't know what that means. A bunch of different casings. We don't even know if it's from the same gun. G-Wen. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. So it was another weird thing. Oh, it was a pillowcase and something else. Like, I don't know if it was tape or string or something. Like, it was really, really weird. Yeah, I know that Robbie did something about Abercrombie. Yeah. I just put up a video, I think it was this morning, about the recent FBI raids that have been done and Operation Taking Down Traffickers. There's more to come. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And why am I putting them up? Because I really believe that I want that, I've always been against trafficking, but I also believe that there's a connection to Mica and all of this that we've been fighting about. FBI looked into that off Netflix doc. Oh, there's a Netflix documentary about Abercrombie? Huh. Really, Ashley, I am so sorry. Well, this is the season of judgment. That's for everyone. That's not just for the wolves on the altar. That's for everybody. And so if your ex don't get on his knees and apologize or repent, it could get ugly for him. You may want to pray for him. It's for everyone, but if you're right with God, it's just going to kind of go right over you. If you're not, well, good luck. That's all I could say. I know that's rough to say, but it has to be said. Get it right with God, people. This is not the time to be on the opposite side of God at all. That's a warning. That's not even, I'm not sitting here just trying to get you to listen to the gospel. I'm telling you to read the book of Jude so you know where we are right now. And when you read that book, you're going to see that God ain't playing. He's not playing. Just because it's not happening the way we think it's going to happen, that's only because we're in the beginning stages. Lithium was involved in the fire. Well, yeah, see? Give God the glory. Right on. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad you're still here with us, Ashley. And you know what? Let me say something. People try to make me feel bad for the abuser. We'll talk about John Paul, and we'll use him as an example. He was abused as a kid. He was abused as a kid. How many people could raise your hand and say you went through an abuse as a child? When does that excuse end? When does that adult take responsibility for saying, I'm either going to A, do what my parent did, okay, or B, I'm going to choose to break the cycle and not allow that to happen in my life One set of clothes, one set of shoes, pillowcase with clear tape. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, she's one of the girls that's been working on that case of the two people in North Carolina. Well, no, the cycle can be broken. The cycle can be broken if you choose to break it. And when you claim to be a Christian, it should absolutely be broken. See? Yeah, Dennis, absolutely. I know my husband. That's my husband right there, and I know he's telling the truth. I mean, he's got an awesome stepdad who is my father-in-law. But his biological dad was, well, a jerk. He was abusive. And if you were to ever meet my husband, you would find that he is the opposite of abusive. Wonderful, caring, kind, attentive husband. So we make the choice on whether we're going to be that way. Um, and I think that J.P. Miller is way beyond the edge of where he could say, "My dad made me like this." No, bro, you're in your 40s. Time to grow up. He should have grown up a long time ago. God has been merciful with him for a long time. You know what he did with the mercy? He wasn't interested in it. That's why him and his cohorts dig their heels in and do crap like this. I so badly want to curse, but I'm stopping myself. Because it angers me to know that people who were standing for justice and truth had to go through this. Nails in the tires. I mean, that's vandalism. That's part of the organized stalking. Yeah, psychological manipulation was another one. Gaslighting, big one. And even his flying monkeys on TikTok do the same thing. Thank you, Sally. It took a while before I found him, but I'm glad I did. So now that we have talked about it, guys, when you go into other lives, when you go into other shows, with love and affection, but firmly, we got to let everybody else know it's enough. Stop giving J.P. Miller what he wants. Just stop. And we all just link up together and get loud in our fight for justice for Mica. Now, let me talk about the protest, or about the online protest, for everybody who cannot show up in Myrtle Beach. And let me just reiterate this again, please. If you don't have Twitter, that's fine. If you do, find me and copy and paste every day for over a month now. I have put up an online protest. All I need for you to do is copy and paste. When you copy and paste it, you literally taking ownership of it. So if you don't like a name that's in there, or you want to add a name, you have the ability to do that. You can do that, right? You don't just have to do it on Twitter. It's also available on 5 or 6 different Justice for Mica groups on Facebook. It's not as if you can't find it. Really. It's really simple. I have it on LinkedIn, Truth Social, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, on all of the groups that I belong to, and TikTok. I've even put it on MeWe, which is for musicians. I mean, anywhere and everywhere that I can put it, that's where it goes. And I tag everybody that I think needs to be tagged. So what did Thomas go through? Oh, I'm so sorry, Thomas. I don't understand how people can do that. I love Angelita too, and I want her and her family to get justice. I want Mica to get justice. And the kind of justice I think about is middle of the night, lights all of a sudden go on, and tanks and guys in the suits, and like military showing up and just around JP's house or around the church or whatever it takes, and helicopters and the dogs and the craziness, whatever it takes, it's like that SWAT kind of, response, making him poop his pants, going, this is it, and getting that press conference and coming forward and hearing that there's, these people have been arrested and dealt with. Either that or we wake up one night or one morning and just find out they're all, God wiped them out like he did the 185,000 Assyrians with the angel of the Lord. Who knows? Whatever God chooses. You had that same dream? Thank you for bringing up a dream, I Spy. Before we go, it's almost 8 o'clock, and I'm going to tell you of a dream I had last week. I'm going to share that with you. Okay, so I was sitting here in the bedroom talking to my husband, had the phone in my hand, TV was on, and, we were in the same position as we've always been, close to the door. And I'm holding the phone, and the one thing I remember is I looked up at my husband and I said, you know what else JP did? That's exactly the words that came out of my mouth. As I said it, every light went out. All the lights outside, all the lights inside, the television, even the light on my phone, all lights out. So I didn't think anything of it. I got up and went to the switch on my wall and went to flick it on, and it wouldn't go on. And so I reached down for my husband. As soon as I felt his shoulder, I woke up. I was very shook up by that dream because I didn't understand it. Usually when I have a dream, I'll talk to God and go, what was that, Lord? This time I didn't say anything. I just got up and I, went on the phone and looked at stuff and whatever and made myself really, tired. It took about an hour. Just as I went back to bed and I was tired, I went to lay my head down on the pillow and I just quietly says, what was that all about, Lord? Audibly. Every time I'm tired is when God is so loud. It's lights out for JP. That's what I heard. Lights out for JP. So good night, Lord. That was last week. So God's fed up. Remember that scripture in Jeremiah that I got twice coming to the Lord about John Paul Miller. And let me see if I can find it for you. Let's find it right now. Why not? Let's go to the Word. It's a great way to finish. Don't. Okay. Jeremiah 7:16-34. Therefore, do not pray for these people, nor lift up a cry or prayer for them, nor make intercession to me, for I will not hear you. That's heavy. That's heavy. Twice that came up when I went before the Lord about him. And then, like I said, that dream came to me last week. Now I want to bring up, this is for everyone that's content creator, protesters, Matthew 18:15, and then we will call it a night. If your brother sins, go and show him his fault in private. If he listens and pays attention to you, then you have won back your brother. But if he does not listen, take along with you one or two others, so that every word may be confirmed by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he pays no attention to them, refusing to listen or obey, tell it to the church. This is if it's Christian now, okay? And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile or an unbeliever. So if you really listen to the message of that scripture, you go, it is a spiritual war, Tracy. You go to your brother, you go, saved or unsaved, we're all brothers and sisters right now fighting for justice for Mica. So we are one as a family in regards to that. Whether you like your brother and sister or not, that is the truth of the matter. If you don't like what your brother and sister has done, you go to that brother and sister in private. No, I'm not going to be on tonight, but I'm hoping CJ hears me because you know I want him to be part of this. He's got to be part of this. He is part of Justice for Mica. You got a problem with your brother and sister, you go to them and you work it out. If that didn't work, then you take a brother and sister with you to go and try to work it out. All done in private. Get it to work out. And if at that point they don't listen, dust your feet off, leave it alone, but you stay unified in Justice for Mica. Just stay unified. See, they didn't say kick him out of the church. You treat him like a Gentile, but they didn't say kick him to the curb or beat him up in the parking lot or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just leave it alone. Treat him like he's an unsaved person. But that doesn't mean that you kick him out of the church or you kick him out of Justice for Mica. You see what I'm saying? We all have to be together in this fight. I don't want to keep repeating it. I just want you to understand this is for everybody. No matter how wronged you feel or what's been said or what this person did, enough. It's enough. We could stop this from happening. That is wonderful, Matthew, because I know what that's like. I know what that's like when a disability hearing. Usually the protocol is that it takes like 2 times to be denied, and then third time. And my third time, it took like 6 months before I could get to court. You know, so I know what that's like. So God bless, brother. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, everybody, go say hi to CJ for me. Give him love. Give everyone love for me. Real quick, this Sunday, as I said, is Mica's anniversary, 6-month anniversary that we lost her. I'm looking to do a breakdown of the entire case since Mica went home to be with the Lord on April 27th. And that should be up Sunday evening. And I will see you live next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, guys, God bless. Have a great night. And let's stay unified. Take care, everyone.